I do have a Bible record. Now those are the things that are very important to keep. Bible records, census records, your graduation certificates or announcements, and that should be put in a scrapbook, things of that type. And then try to get a picture of a person. And one reason you want to do that is because, now,
that's what I'm doing on this trip.
I saw, I noticed in the Winthrop book, Winslow book, it mentions Art Holland line. And when I looked at the picture of one of the men who was a famous poet in his day, his name was Josiah Gilbert Holland. I'd have swore it was art. He looked exactly like him, except that he had a beard on him, and and that Art, Patty, his mother, and his grandfather, who I knew and had met, all looked alike. So I think that they got their looks from the Holland family, you see. But now Lily's kind of the combination between Joy and Patty. She doesn't look like exactly like Patty, but she doesn't really look like Joy either.
Right.
I mean, see, Joy has tiny bones, and Patty has kind of rather big bones. Where Lillian has both big bones and the tiny bones in her face, like Joy. And I wait till you see the picture. I hope she brings it over with her. It's absolutely beautiful. I never saw your mother look so beautiful. Lily's gave me for Christmas a picture of my three daughters, Patty in the center with her wings, and then Lillian and Joy on each side of it. And it is absolutely beautiful. I never saw Joy look so beautiful. And each one of them just looks beautiful. So it's kind of nice. Yeah. And so when you see, I hope she read it, because she said she had put it, my presents that I got from my kids in the car. So I hope she remembers to read it over. She's going to try to come over, by the way. She said,
yeah.
Did you eat?
No, not yet, but I'll come eat later.
Well, I've got to eat.
Yeah, okay.
Because if I don't eat at a certain time, I get kind of sick. I was thinking, what if I knew what day.
The way I remember Joy is that she was very tall, skinny, and very, very intelligent. But see, but I've always,
compared to you.
yeah, but I've always been short. But and I look at Joy today, and Joy is not tall.
Yeah,
but to me,
5'5".
she was tall, and because she was real slender. So I think that the more slender you are, the more tall that you appear to be. But no, I don't know. I just think, if I really think back, I just think that we were all treated the same. No difference, there was nothing. It wasn't one different from one than the other.
Well, we used to.
But Joy read a lot. She read a whole lot.
Yeah. Art would usually be the one that did it. In the morning, he'd wake Joy up because he was taking her to school, to Catholic school, and he'd have to drag her out of bed in the morning to get her up. Oh, she always had a hard time getting up.
She still does.
Yeah.
She's good at night. She'll stay up really late. In mornings, she's
I
not.
don't like getting up either, so I don't think. Who likes to get up early?
Yeah,
I don't know.
but
Certainly isn't me.
that was her, and she would be getting dressed, running out of the house. Art dragging her into his car to take her to school, because she was still going to Catholic school. We wanted her to finish out the 8th grade there, or,
She's supposed to.
yeah, I mean, I forget that.
But we all had the same chores. We all had the
Okay.
exact same things to do. You know, it
Right.
wasn't like one had to do more than the other. It was, you know, you had your little chores to do and you did them. You didn't say why, how come, it's not my turn. You
Yeah.
just did them. You did them or you died. It was very plain and simple, you know. No, I just think we were just all
Now,
treated
one
the same.
thing, though, that Art did not realize was this. You see, Lillian and him have a lot
In common is what you're
in
going to say.
common with each other. Their makeup and their things, their,
You think
their,
that?
their, they,
Oh, sure.
yeah, yeah. She would always talk back to her father. Now, he would never, she was the only one that dared. And a lot of times Lily was right and sometimes Art was right. I mean, it was about half and half. But she would speak up and say what she thought.
I didn't
Would you
talk
get away with
back to my father, and never talked back to my father, but
you would,
I would express
yeah.
my thought, or
You'd say, Daddy, that's not really fair because.
Well, she was too young to use
I don't
those
remember
words.
things I said, but like
Okay.
he beat me with a belt. You know, hold my arm and beat me with a belt, and I turn around and say, ha ha, it didn't hurt. You know,
And
stupid,
she
huh?
never would cry. She
But see,
never,
that was the whole thing, that I wanted the attention, and a negative attention was attention, you see. So, I mean, we all got spanked, all of us, you know. I don't remember anybody getting more than the other, or no, there's no way.
no. But, I mean, you see, Lillian was a little too much like her daddy, which made it, I mean, oh, he loved her. I don't mean that.
Well, it's calling survival, Mother. You're surviving and fighting for that survival. It's
Yeah.
important. That's why my dad and I are close today.
Yeah. They're
In a way,
very
it's
much
because I
alike.
fought for his love, and when he screams and yells at me, I just say, you know, I won't allow it, and I just say, when you get done, you know, going to this ranting and raging, all this BS that you want to show off about, then I just want to tell you that I love you, and that's why I called you. And eventually it's gotten, you know, I've said that over and over to him, and eventually then he calls me and he says, oh, by the way, I'm going to scream and yell at you for a while, and you can tell me you love me, and then he doesn't do it. I mean, he still dictates, I still have to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. It still has to be that way. That's just the way it is. But I challenge him, you know, and I tell him today, you know.
Even still, you mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
How has he changed now? I mean, you're seeing him change. My mom mentioned that he's becoming.
Mellow.
See,
more
he's
fragile.
entirely different with Joy than he is with us. Entirely. He's more passive with her. He will scream and yell literally at Patty and I 100 times more than Joy. But then they've been through a lot too in their lives, as far as the separation for all those years and what have you. But yeah, he's mellowed a lot more. He doesn't yell and scream as much. But then that's because I won't allow him to do it. He still screams and yells and Patty and stuff, and then she calls me and tells me that I call him back up and give him heck for screaming and yelling at her, you know. But and he and I are going to be going through a real big confrontation real soon too, because I know that I need to know that he loves me. That's very, very important to me, and so I challenge that and I fought for it. And like I'd go surprise him or something, and he'd go, "What are you doing here? You shouldn't come down here without calling me." And he said, I said, "Well, I just come down to see because I love you." And he goes, "Oh, no, you don't care." And I don't put up with that. And you know, and I said, "Don't you stand here and tell me that. You know, don't you tell me you don't love me, because you do, and I will not tolerate that, and I will not stand for it. You know, and you really hurt my feelings, and I won't put up with that. You know." But he's getting to the point again where he's demanding that I be the way he wants his little girl to be, and not accepting me for myself or as a human being. You know, sometimes it's like I have to send him this kind of a card, or I have to call him at this time, or I have to this, and it's like, so like I said to him the other night, I says, well, I said, you know, why don't you send me the program of how I'm supposed to act and be around you? As a matter of fact, why don't you send me the same one that your father gave you? And he and I very soon
Did he
will.
hear that?
He ignored it, but he and I will be having a real big challenge on that, because I love my father very, very, very much, and it's important for him to say, "Hi, sweetheart, it's nice to see you," rather than saying, "What the hell do you want?" That's not good. That's not good enough for me. And before the day he dies, I will not ever look back and say, "Gee, why didn't I push?" Because he can't do it, because all of his life he was rejected, never got loves, never got hugs, kisses, nothing. He was rejected all the time. So every time he go to show love and affection, he was rejected. Okay, so that's all he knows. How can you give love if you've never had it? And I know that it's important for me to have his love, and I know that he feels it inside, and it's important for me to have him show me before he dies, because if he dies and I don't feel that, then my whole life will be screwed up.
But you see, I think one reason why Art did that, it wasn't
Grandpa D.
in San Rafael.
I don't know anything about him.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he was put in a military school.
Mm-hmm.
So, he never had any brothers or sisters, see. And then he met.
He had one, but the baby died.
No, that's wrong.
Grandma Hazel had a baby girl and she
I'm
died.
talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
But then it goes back beyond that. I don't mean to
Yeah.
interrupt you, but when my grandma Lilly got married, she married a person just for his money. She was a very, very, very staunch, strict English woman, and she married this man for his money and to have an heir. He was crippled in a wheelchair. Okay, and so she married him, and she slept with him, and she became pregnant. They never slept together ever after that. He had a mistress. My grandmother knew that because she was not allowing sex in their life, because that was not the point. And until when she had the child, the heir, he was in a military school all of his life, all the time as a child, and so therefore he was raised with no love, affection, also at the same time. Then when my
Who was that child?
Grandpa D, my father's father.
Yeah.
And then when
Great Grandma Lilly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Grandpa D was his.
We called him D. We were not allowed to call him
His
Grandpa.
name was
at all.
Arthur
D, yeah.
Harvey.
He
was
was
not.
military.
He was raised in a military school.
Was
in
he
San
a military
Rafael.
career?
Did he go into the army or anything?
Yeah, he went and you got the pictures of him.
So he was in the military, but no, he was not military career.
Okay.
He was
No.
a tennis pro at the
He-
Golden Gate Park in San Francisco.
Tennis and golf pro. He ran he played with people like Alice Marble, some of the very famous people that played were in tennis, and we had invitations that if we ever went back east, we could stay at the DuPont home. They have the DuPonts at that time, and I assume they still have it. Is one of the wealthiest families.
Yeah.
in the
I don't, of course, remember anything about that.
They have houses on their land, and if they have guests, they guests stay in one of these houses while they're there. And he was always invited to
But
stay,
he
because
was-
Alice Marble, I think, was the one that had married DuPont, but she used her, like in movie stars, they use their maiden
Maiden
names. you
But
see.
he was, very, very, very military, strict raised,
Yeah.
very, very.
That was your grandfather.
That was my father's father. And then when my father's father met my grandma, okay, her name was Hazel, it's my father's mother, she was not good enough for the family. So my grandmother my great-grandma Lilly told my grandpa D, if you marry her, I will disinherit you. Well, he went and married her anyway.
After she worked so hard to get an heir.
Yes. So, but he married her anyway. Grandma Hazel was a real sweet, wonderful, loving person. Grandpa D was an alcoholic. Grandma Hazel was an alcoholic too, right? He used to.
Yeah, well, not real. I wouldn't say that they
Drank
were,
a lot,
they,
okay,
They
maybe they
drank
weren't.
heavy, but they drank in moderation. In other words, because I can remember when I went over to the house, he would only have one drink in his house. All the time I was there, and he'd sip on that for the
It
whole
never was
night
empty.
long.
He used to go like
he
this,
may sometimes
snap
have
his fingers on the
attitude.
edge of his glass, and my grandma Hazel would jump up to make him a drink. Anyway, so he
Yeah.
ends up marrying her,
Yeah.
okay, and he was disinherited.
He was.
Okay,
But
yes.
what's funny is, here, she's the one that has 7 or 8 ancestors off the Mayflower.
Oh, and she wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like the chain of events occurred again, and then my father marries my mother, and he didn't think that was good enough either, or that he should, and
Yeah.
so
But
my
remember,
father
I
is the
only
way
lived-
he is because of the way that he was raised, and
And
Yeah.
his
that's
father was
yeah.
raised.
yeah, and I've come to realize that my father gave us all that he could give us with what he knew, okay, and so by him not being able to show the love and affection, it's not because he didn't have it inside, but because he knew if he did, he would be rejected in his own mind. So I understand him today, and I understand why he does the things that he does, but I don't like the things that he does at all, and
That's
so I
so
challenge him on it because it's important to me enough to fight it.
It's worked in a way from what you're saying, worked opposite with you though, because you're intelligent enough to think through those things and to not let it affect you in the same way. Whether you were his son or his daughter
Right,
doesn't make any
because
difference. but-
yeah, my basic survivalship. I know that that's what I need
Yeah.
to succeed in a relationship in my life.
That's
Because you see,
interesting.
let's choose somebody that's going to reject me because that's what we've always had all our lives anyway.
Now, I'll tell you
seek out the
something.
person that I know will eventually reject me anyway, because that's what I'm, you know, that's what's always happened, you know, and I won't allow that to happen to me today, you know.
You have allowed it to happen.
Oh, sure, I have in the past, yeah, I'm sure,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Or
I
I'll
mean,
choose
I'm
somebody
asking
that
you.
yeah,
I'm telling you.
or I'm sure that I have chosen to be with people that I knew that were not right for me, because that way I couldn't get hurt in the end anyway. Sure. The protectiveness thing, but today I won't let that happen to me. Today I know that I have to.
So you're more cautious.
Oh yeah, oh sure, yeah.
Mike, one thing, when she's talking like that, one thing I think would help too. Most parents that split up, and say you and Nyla split up, don't ever say a thing bad about it.
Don't ever say a thing bad about it. What?
No, he's saying that
About
mother's saying
her.
is that if people split up, they should never
Oh.
say bad things about each other, just like she never says bad things
I've
about
never
him.
heard you say a bad thing about Art.
Oh, she wouldn't.
And I actually appreciate
believed in that. I believed in that. My mother never, when my dad was away so much, I never heard anything against him.
Yeah.
And I believe that because I think if there is something that, let the kids find out for themselves. I mean, I feel, why should I say anything against Art? I have my faults, he has his faults, you know. And I do not believe that, and I think...
And between all those faults, I'm going crazy. No.
But if there were more people that wouldn't say things about their husbands or wives when they are separated or divorced,
Or even together.
the children respected a lot more.
You have to love somebody for what they are and not for what you want them to be. That's a real toughie.
Well,
I don't mean to be rude,
I
but
understand.
I've been here an hour and I've got, believe it or not, and I've got like 2 hours of inventory to catch up on,
Yeah.
but I couldn't miss the opportunity to come by and say
Oh,
hi.
I know. Can I get one thing I wanted to add you to it? It's not real bright in here, but can I? Because you
Sure.
look great anyway.
Do
so
you
it's not
have,
like
does this go up higher?
I don't think so. Not that one. No, the other light.
I don't know if this goes one more. Oh, good.
Oh, sure.
Good. What can you think of? It's just kind of it's not as professional as I wanted to do, because to do that you have to plan, and this is spontaneous. But to do a something like with my mom growing up story, or you and Patty and my mom growing up.
I mean, tell you about what I know.
Yeah.
I thought you
Remember?
taken it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Of
Let's
course,
see.
I just
Actually,
said
I'd rather
everything.
you sit. I know there, because that way I'll have the light on you.
Oh, okay. You know what I remember? The thing that I remember that stands out in my mind the most about Joy is that I remember one time that she and her girlfriends were all sitting on the couch, and this is when she was like maybe 14 years old, and they were talking about somebody being 23 years old, a friend of hers or whatever, and I said, oh my God, that was so ancient. And I was thinking that 23 years old, oh God, if I was ever 23, I'd be so old. And another thing that I really remember about Joy, and she always dies about this one, but the first time she ever had a bra, my father put it on the Christmas tree. Just put it on the Christmas tree, right?
Just hung it up there.
Oh yes, and she was mortified, totally mortified. But the thing that I remember the most about Joy is that I just remember her being very, very, very intelligent, extremely intelligent, reading a lot, being very tall and slender. And then I remember when she got married, that was a really neat special thing for me, because it's like when she and Bill got married, that was really neat, because like we'd go to the beach and stuff like that. This is, you know, the short time that they were there, and that was really fun, because it was like he was like my big brother, you know. And it was like Bill was always, you know, real special and like a real big brother to me kind of a thing. And he was always really good to us. And I remember she had these really pretty clothes, because we never had really nice clothes and stuff. And I remember having all these nice clothes. And I go, oh wow, these are so nice, you know.
But Art didn't like it, right?
Oh, are you kidding? My father, when she...
That's when it started?
When Joy ran away and got married to your dad, my father was devastated. That probably hurt him more than anything his entire life. You know, it's because he...
That was a real insult to him.
Maybe it was... I don't think it was more of an insult than just a real pain thing for him, because when he and my mother got married, he wanted Joy to know that he loved her even though he wasn't her father, natural born father, okay? And so she was very special to him, and he really loved her a lot. And for her to do that to him was another rejection that has always happened to him. You
I see.
And, you know, it was like Patty and I, we always had a room together, you know, so we were closer. But I don't vividly remember, you know, all these special things about the childhood and all these fun, neat things that we did. I just really remember going over to Aunt Margie's and playing with Bobby and Phyllis and getting Poison Oak, and Joy, of course, always babysat us. But, you know, but she wasn't mean to us or anything like that. You know, we just did our thing. And she played with us and we played with her, you know, that kind of stuff. But that's the highlight, I think, of the childhood is going to Aunt Margie and Uncle Bob's. And then, of course, the other big highlight would be going to Russian River. Because we used to go to Russian River and we didn't have tents or anything like that. We'd just take blankets and pillows and throw them out in the sand. And we'd lay there, and that was really exciting times.
Remember the PG&E picnics?
Oh, we used to go to PG&E
And
picnics.
Lily always won at that with her daddy, the egg contest.
Egg throwing contest?
Apparently, I don't remember that.
Yeah. And Lily was very little then. And she...
I've always been little.
I don't think that she were more than 4 years old when they first started throwing eggs with your daddy. And you won it for years.
You know,
Every
it's
year
really
you
funny
won.
because Joy remembers things that I don't remember, Patty remembers things that I don't remember, and I remember things that they don't remember.
Oh.
It's because certain things were highlights
Mhm.
in our life, and that's why we remember. It's just like today, getting to know Joy today differently than as a child, because like I said, as a child, she was older than us, and she was, you know, always reading and stuff. She was just older than us, and she was so smart and stuff, you know, and that's what we always thought, and she was. And it's like you don't relate to that person. It's not because you don't like them or you don't care, but it's just like, they're just somebody
Not
else
on the
around.
same level.
Yeah, you know, big deal. It's just somebody else that's around the house, you know. And she used to go to Catholic school, and so she was gone. You know, she'd get up early and take the bus, and then she'd come back. So she would be later. But we all, you know, everybody in the family had the exact same chores to do. We always had to do the exact same thing, and the rules were the same for everybody. There was no difference. Everybody was basically treated the same. That I recall. And if there's anything else I don't remember or I choose not to, I have no idea. But we just had a childhood, you know. It was no biggie. But it certainly wasn't real bad, like a lot of people had some really traumatic times. You know, I mean, even though Patty is real special to me, and that's okay because we're closer in age. But even as a kid, I don't remember being real special with her either. You know, just loving her so much and playing so much, because I think maybe as a child you don't look at things in that way like we do today. But it's like today it's real special for me. My relationship with Joy is because she expresses things to me about how she feels and how she loves me, and she'll say, oh, I remember when you were a kid and how bad I felt for you for this, for that, you know, and I'm like, God, I have no idea you felt that way. But as a child, you wouldn't say that to somebody else. You don't say that to your other sister, because you don't hear those things at home from your parents expressing those kinds of sentimental feelings or love feelings or whatever. So therefore, you don't know to express them to each other either.
That's one of the neat parts about getting older.
Yeah.
Now, I'll have to put something in right here on this. Joy never stole anything.
Oh, yes, she did.
Except
We
one
just
thing.
didn't tell you. No, I'm just kidding, Joy.
No. We didn't have much money to give them nickels and dimes to get something. And for instance, one day Patty wanted a cupcake. Oh, she stole it. And we made her take it back to the store. So guess what Joy took? You know, they used to have cups of ice creams with the sticks that you would...
Yeah.
And Joy stole a roll of the sticks. That's the only thing I ever know that she ever stole. And we made her take that back to
Oh,
the
I was
store.
a thief in the family. Are you too? Oh, God, yeah. Anything get in my
Yeah.
pocket, I tell you.
But I mean, that's the only thing
Sure.
I thought she'd like to know, that your mother never stole anything as far as I know. Or
Oh, what parents don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the only thing. We made her take it back, and that kind of stopped it.